And it's time for Bingo is Life.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
The podcast.
That was such a strong beginning.
Well, there was reasons for that.
The strength that you have.
The strength. Joined as usual by the Howdy Shell brothers. To my left, Michael, and to my right, Chris.
Hola.
The Bingo Boys from Briary Branch.
Hey, yeah, no, it's a good life.
And Mom Shackles is busy. I guess she found out she wasn't really married, so she had to go back to Richmond and do the wedding. She's gonna kill me for that one.
She is. Wow.
She might be coming over here. She was having some issues at Court Square.
Oh, good.
Take care of it.
She's taking care of business.
I think there was a stray cat under the theater. They had to.
I see.
For real? Was there really
a dead
cat?
possum? No, I don't know. They're doing something. That's something.
Yeah, there's always something.
We got some great guests tonight.
Yes,
we really do.
Did Bingo go well?
No, bingo was awesome tonight.
Yeah,
it was
good
loud.
group.
Were those farmers involved, or it's always loud, by the way.
Yeah, I guess that's true. It is always loud.
Even I won't say who said it was loud, but lots of people say it's loud.
Yeah,
They're standing around with their fingers in their ears.
Yeah.
But
That's how we know we're doing it right.
That's right. Yeah. The 5 people that are screaming, though, I can't no control over them.
Did you give away the money? No.
No
$100 winner.
He gave it a good go though. He got down 8 out of 10. That's pretty good.
Yeah, he had the crowd's encouragement behind it.
He did. They wanted to see it go down.
Yeah, it didn't.
What we're talking about is if you come at 7:30, you can play Bingo is Life at Ruby's Arcade, our sponsor in downtown Harrisonburg. Get some great pizza. Have some fantastic pizza in here. And
there's a pizza sitting in front of us right now.
Half-price pizza on Wednesday nights, but on Tuesday nights, Bingo is Life, and the winner for the finale gets to bowl for $100 on the classic duck pin bowling lane.
It's pretty classic. It is classic. It's pretty fun. You know what's crazy, Jay? We are sitting outside, and it's 100 degrees. Good job, Harrisonburg.
Woo!
You were
We made it.
surviving the wonderful heat dome or whatever.
I don't even see a
happening.
duck out here. Not one single
The
duck.
ducks are in the creek.
The ducks are in
But you know who I do see? I see lots of guests.
I see some guests.
Yeah. Jay,
Jay, you brought these people with you, didn't you?
I brought these people with me. We have, first of all, Fadia Vergara.
Hello.
Hi,
Say it
Welcome
again.
aboard.
Say it again. Say it again, Fadia.
Fadia Vergara.
Vergara. I was pretty darn close. I had all 3 syllables right except for the 1 syllable. And over here we have a man of renown, Ron Copeland.
Whoa.
Once again, owner of the Little Grill, the fine establishment next to the pool on the north side of town. Used to be next to the pool.
Used to be next to the pool.
And over here on the end for the second, but Ron's been on the show before, and we also have Dr. Thomas King, Professor he's squinching. Emeritus. How do you say that? Come on, help me out. Emeritus. Emeritus.
There it is.
He was working over there at
Takes the doctor.
Madison College back there. He built the experimental theater brick by brick with his own bare hands. I know that's not true, but that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So and the reason these folks are on the show is we are doing Waiting For Godot in a couple of weeks at the Little Grill.
That's right. Yes.
All right.
Ron, why don't you give us the intro on what's going on with all this?
Wow, right there you go.
Yeah, there it is.
There it is.
Yeah, get right up on that mic.
I was thinking tonight that it would be interesting to see the Howdy Shell brothers play Dee Dee and Go-Go. Because they kind of act like that. But I don't know who would play who.
They would be too happy.
Oh, good.
There's a concert somewhere else. Let Godot wait for it to take care of himself. Anyway, well, go ahead. Tell us. So we used to tell us how you got involved in Waiting For Godot 30 years ago when it started.
I guess a high school teacher turned me on to it, really, and I just always kind of loved it. And then I turned Ken Gibson onto the play, and we decided to do it. I bought the grill in 1992. Oof. And I guess the summer of '93 we did the play, and it was Ken and I played Vladimir and Estragon. And that first year, were you in the play the first year? You probably weren't.
No, I was still in my first marriage when you were doing it the first year. Did you do it in '94 or '93?
I believe it was '93, '94, '96, and '97. We skipped '95, and I think, well, I know that we did it only one night for the public at the Little Grill on Bastille Day, and it was always for free. And the first year was a total train wreck, and half the audience left before intermission, maybe during intermission.
Just like the original production in Miami of the original Waiting for Godot back in the 50s.
Yeah, it was other
true?
reasons
Yes, that's
for this.
true.
Wow.
Yeah, there were other reasons this time, but it was, pretty bad. And then, I don't know if it was ever good, but it was free, damn it. It took a lot of pressure off.
Yes, it
But
does.
we did enjoy the play, and all these years we talked about it, joked about it. It's always, part of punchlines, and we have all these lines memorized. And so about a year and a half ago, I texted Jay Zehr and Ken Gibson and Tom Kilday, former Little Grill owner, and said, hey, you guys want to do Godot in the summer of 25? And they said yes. Tom wasn't able to join us, but we got a ringer in John Harrell, a friend of ours from college who has been at the Shakespeare Center for a few decades. And,
30 years.
3 decades, and has entertained us all many times down there. And so it's great to have him as Pazzo. And then we just thought we'd ask Tom King to direct the play. And against all odds, he said yes. Also, our theater professor, all of us when we were in college, were involved with Tom in one way or another, I think except me. I think I was the only one that was never under his tutelage directly. So Tom brings, a lifetime of directing and acting, teaching, and it's just great to have a real director on board. And then somehow we roped Pam Johnson, who was a costumer at JMU for, 40, 50 years, and against her will, practically, she's decided to
That's how
costume
it
the
is.
show. So it's great. It's super fun. It's a reunion of sorts. Jay was in the play twice, I believe, in the early 90s as Pazzo and Lucky.
I was Pazzo and I was Lucky.
Yeah. And so
It's,
anyway,
it's interesting. I remember all of the Pazzo lines from the first act, but none of them from the second act. I'm wondering if maybe we never got there.
Everybody left. You didn't need to do the second act.
Tom King was telling me that you remember details from a production you saw in the 50s, the first time you saw it. Is that correct? Or?
Yeah, I don't remember a whole lot about that one. I remember one that was later than the 50s, I guess, where Lucky comes up out of a trap. I think I've seen 4 productions of it, 1 professional production.
Well, you were telling me, though, that when you first saw it, everyone was speaking about it as a very confusing, absurd play, and it made perfect sense to you as a young man. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I did say that. In fact, I don't know how interested you are in all the details, but I was at Purdue University and I was taking an economics class, and the professor made some comment about Waiting for Godot that Beckett, who had been working with Joyce, had written something even more obscure than what Joyce wrote, like Finnegan's Wake, for example. And so I saw the play, and I thought, well, doesn't it look obscure and strange to me? It looks like my life.
Well, I was just listening to a podcast about. This is a story you all have known, but it was considered such an absurdist play, and they did it at the San Quentin a production. And they chose this play because it didn't have any women in it. Was one of the reasons. And amazing, they were a little worried about how it was 1,500 prisoners, hardcore. And they were they were just really dedicated to watching it, and it was as if these people imprisoned in jail understood the play perfectly. When like the intelligentsia and the critics didn't get it, they knew exactly what it was about. They were saying that Beckett actually, contrary to public opinion, did not have a pretentious bone in his body, as opposed to say T.S. Eliot or something. T.S. Eliot would have made them riot at San Quentin.
That's awesome. So this is so interesting. So I saw you guys do it in '97.
No, you did?
Yep.
Do you remember who I was?
No.
Do you remember who you were?
No,
Nope.
no, not really.
No, but I remember
Was Nevin in it?
thoroughly. I don't remember.
probably.
That's the one I remember.
Yeah, but it was. I remember really enjoying it, and just being like, oh, what I love that anytime I go see a production or anything at the Grill, you forget how small it is. You get in there and you're with 30 people, and you feel like you're in every seat is the best seat, and it's just a wonderful place to see people be expressive.
It kind of redefines what intimate is.
Yeah, and I love that. So that one of the reasons why I'm so excited, Ron and everybody here, that you guys are doing this again is because as a kid, I loved seeing stuff there, and I just am so pumped that you guys are doing stuff there again. And I think the town will get hip to it. I know that you guys were like, well, we haven't sold a lot of tickets or whatever. They're going to you will sell out.
They started picking up today.
Did they? Yeah, I really believe it.
There will be a link.
Yeah, we'll post a link.
Oh
on
yeah,
the
we'll
show.
post a link in the show. I'm going to talk it up to everybody. I know. I just think the grill just needs it. I mean, the town needs it. That's what I really think.
Hey, let's bring in Fadia.
Oh, tell me, Fadia.
Fadia is tell us how you got involved in this operation.
Well, I have been working at the Little Grill since the end of 2019, so when it was a collective, and then I helped reopening the grill with Ron, and I love the Little Grill so much, and I love the Copeland so much, and I've never really done a lot with theater, like never in high school or college or anything, but you know, everyone here is so like excited about it and super into theater, and I think it's interesting to be around people really passionate about something that I don't know a lot about. And so at first I just thought I would help with like the house stuff, so the nights of the play, just helping, you know, with selling beverages and just being like a front of house type person, but I ended up taking on more of a role with helping out during rehearsals, and I might be in the play.
No, you're not might. There's no might involved. You're the stage manager.
Yeah.
You evolved to the stage manager, and now you've taken over the role of
the boy.
The boy.
Whoa.
Which is going to be fantastic. And so this is your first.
I'm really excited.
Your first time on stage is going to be
Yes.
Is that right?
Directed by
Totally.
Tom King and with
Waiting for Godot, first time.
First time ever. I've
Wow.
never
That's
been
cool.
on stage for it.
What's your take on like working with all us crazy old guys? Doing theater. Yeah, I'm including
I
Pam.
love it.
I'll just include Pam in that. She's another guy.
Yes, she's so kind. Well, not to get too personal, but I have been kind of like in a recovery mode because I recently got a surgery, so I haven't had much to do. So it's been really I've looked forward to our meetings and our rehearsals a lot because I haven't been doing too much. And I like being around you guys.
And just to make it
really
clear,
nice.
this isn't a production company. This is just
No.
you guys
Yeah.
are doing it as old friends, and you're doing it at the grill because you run the place. You're like, hey, you know, I mean, so this is just a labor of love, really.
Yeah, it's actually different than community theater. too.
Yeah.
Well, most theater winds up being a labor of love.
Yeah, right.
I guess John Harrell's making money. He's making the big money.
Yeah, right.
What actually, I was kind of curious. What do you have to pay to produce a? I mean, I mean, as far as like, you have to pay somebody some royalties to be able to say I'm doing this play.
Yeah, it depends on the play. You know, in this case, it was $130 per show.
Really?
Yeah, so you know, like different companies.
Is that based on the seating that you have?
I don't know what all the factors are. I guess how many tickets you sell, and Tom knows.
Well, I don't know the details myself, but I think it depends on whether you're getting professional rights or amateur rights. I think with professional rights, it's based on the seating and what your projected audience and income might be. I think with amateur rights, it's usually just a flat fee, but
Cool.
I haven't had much to do with it for a number of years, and things could have changed.
Oh, I find that interesting. I mean, for people who are like, I want to do something like that. You know, it can be done. You know, it's not impossible.
Well, I've also heard the Beckett estate is kind of tight with maintaining control over that script. Is that?
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know about the estate, but I know just before he died, we were actually in Paris, and they were doing a production at the Comédie Française of Endgame, and a famous director was directing it, and he wanted a kind of rose-colored set, and Beckett said, no, the set has to be gray. And so
That's
the
it.
director quit, and we saw the production. They draped muslin over the set. You could still see little glimpses of rose through the gaps, but it was gray. And then I think Beckett died a few months later. So, but I mean, I guess he's got lawyers who are
Well,
looking after it still.
maybe just to help people who have never heard of the play before, and one of y'all want to give like a quick, what is the play? What are we going to go see? What is Waiting for Godot?
Well, I definitely need to pass that off to one of these three folks over here.
I think everybody who's asked that question is like, well,
Fadia, what do you? Let's hear Fadia's take.
Oh wow. It's a dramatic comedy or tragic comedy. Yeah, just reading it, I found it to be really simple, but I feel like each time I read it, I get something a little different out of it. Like I relate to it from just like a life point of view. But watching it, I think it's very funny. I think it's also sad. I think it's a little confusing, but I haven't seen many plays either, so I don't know. But to me, it seems simple, given like there's few characters. The set seems pretty simple as far as props go and stuff. But
Well, on the surface, it's
Yeah.
two. They frequently are referred to as tramps, but it would be folks who've down on their luck. Two fellows who are waiting for Godot or Godot, depending on how you pronounce it, and it's an absurdist play. And Ron, why don't you tell us about what's your take on it?
Man.
It's a lot to unpack
Do
there.
we have a college professor in the house here that can tell us?
A doctor in the house.
A doctor in the house.
It reminds me of my relationship with the grill, actually. I have an irrational attachment to the play. I think about the play and read the play. I'm kind of the low man on the totem pole with regard to the actors, and so I'm kind of doing my best to keep up. But I love the play so much, I don't care all that much. I'm just going to do my best. I think that whether accidental or intentional, it is really some kind of work of genius. Not to drop names, but I had a wonderful experience of getting to see Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart do the play about 10 years ago. Maybe, yeah, that's about right. In New York, and while I was, not only was I sort of blown away by Ian McKellen's acting, and as I think this happens a lot. Seeing John Harold do Hamlet in Stanton, I learned about that play and saw the layers of it because he knew what he was talking about, and it opened up the play. And in the same way, seeing those guys do this play, at that time I counted about 6 different things that were going on that were stacked on top of each other. And so you could say that you could make an argument the play was about the conscious mind and the unconscious mind, trying to stay alive, the one having dreams, the other not wanting to hear them, the one wanting to kill himself all the time, the other one putting it off, but then there's class issues, there's male and female issues. Lately I started picking up on homoerotic
definitely.
accents.
Oh, okay, I gotta quit the play right now. I'm sorry.
And I looked it up. And sure enough, that's apparently well known among some people that was part of it, and the tenderness between two men. And I mean, to go back to Beckett being uptight about controlling the play, I always kind of have made fun of him for wanting to prohibit people from having women in the play. I always thought that was sort of backward. But then thinking about him in the 50s with his friends in Paris and wanting to write a play about tenderness between two men, I was like, oh, okay, well, maybe, he couldn't imagine where we're at right now with that probably. And maybe that's why it was important. I don't know. But it just keeps, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know whether it was accidental or on purpose, but it just continues to open itself up to me. And almost everything I've read about it seems totally dumb. Like I think people write stupid about that play. I really do. It's about the meaninglessness of life and blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, oh my God, it's sad and it's beautiful and it reminds me of the inside of my brain, Maybe I should kill myself. No, I think maybe maybe I'll do something else, I don't know. That seems totally realistic to me.
Tom, where
anyway.
does Beckett and Waiting for Godot fit into the scope of 20th century theater and literature and all that stuff?
Where does it fit?
Well, give us the
19.
broad picture.
Well, I can give a sort of a lecture, I guess. In 1961, Martin Esslin wrote a book called The Theater of the Absurd, and he talks a lot about Waiting for Godot in that. And usually when people talk about Theater of the Absurd, they don't know what they're talking about. And Martin Esslin later in his life said he was sorry that he ever came up with the term because, the naturalist playwrights called themselves naturalists, and the surrealists called themselves surrealists, but Beckett and Ionesco and the rest of those guys never called themselves absurdists. Martin Esslin called them absurdists. And he took the term from an essay by Albert Camus called The Myth of Sisyphus, where Camus is talking about the fact that human beings are rational and purposeful creatures in a universe that has no purpose or rational order. And so, absurd, as I understand it, comes from a Latin word that means out of harmony, and the point being that human beings are out of harmony with the environment in which they live. And they have to try to find some way to deal with that discomfort of being out of harmony with the circumstances in which they live. And so Sisyphus assents to the rock that he's trying to roll to the top of a hill that always rolls back down, and Didi and Gogo finally they commit to Waiting for Godot. And I guess when somebody asks me what the play's about, I don't know anything to say, but it's about Waiting for Godot.
Yeah.
There was I don't want to name a name, but there was somebody who wrote what in my opinion is a very bad introduction to theater book in which he used Waiting for Godot as an example of a play that has no action. And I would argue that the play is full of action from beginning to end. The action of Waiting for Godot is waiting.
That's good. I saw on YouTube. Hey, thanks, YouTube. You can watch Robin Williams and Steve Martin do Waiting for Godot.
No, the whole version is there?
Most of it, not the whole thing. It's somebody hit a camera.
And it's on YouTube, because I was just reading the only way to see either to legally see that version or the version Ron was talking about with Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen is to go to the New York Public Library and watch it.
They'll let you watch it there.
You have to watch it there.
Oh,
You can't even get it on the Interlibrary Learn. But anyway, go ahead. You saw a version of it.
Well, I saw part of it. Part of it is on YouTube. It's not the whole thing. It's just part of it. But it's awesome to see Robin Williams and Steve Martin, who are, and this would be in the 80s, which would be, kind of their movie primes in a lot of ways. So it's just cool. I think it's beloved. It's a beloved.
And is it Bill Irwin? Is that who? The actor, the expert, the former
Bill
clown.
Irwin, I think, has done it, and I know the production I saw in New York about 18 months ago. He was a creative consultant for it.
He was lucky in the version they're talking about, and he also played Didi along with Nathan Lane in a remount a few years ago as well.
What I said makes it sound like maybe the play is not very interesting, but usually there are people who are clowns who perform the roles, and there are a lot of comic kind of music hall or vaudeville routines during the course of the play as they try to pass time while they're waiting for Godot. And
Robin Williams is dressed up like a traditional clown.
Oh, is he?
Yeah. He's dressed up like a clown in it, which is fun. It's just fun to see,
And it's being produced all the time. I saw it about 18 months ago at the Theater for a New Audience in New York, and Rainn Wilson was doing it last fall in Los Angeles.
And
Keanu Reeves is doing it this fall in New York.
What?
It's just in
Claudia's
production all
got
the time.
tickets.
No, I wanted to get tickets.
Oh,
Way
see
too
Keanu.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so much fun.
That's cool.
Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
So-
It's the other guy from Bill and Ted. I can't remember his name, but there's the two Bill and Ted guys, right?
Yeah. What's the other guy's name?
I don't know his name.
So I have a director's question, I guess. I'm interested in what the challenges are in directing this play, and these guys that are in it specifically. I know a little of their personality, and I don't know if that's a positive or a negative. Is it difficult? I would love to hear what your take is on directing those folks.
Well, in a lot of ways, I don't feel as if I'm the director in the normal sense of the word.
Yeah.
In the past, whenever I've been directing something, I proposed it, and I was pretty much, it was my idea, and I was pretty much in control of the whole thing. In this case, I came into something that Ron and Ken and Jay were already in the had as an idea, and I feel like I'm functioning more perhaps as an acting coach than as a regular kind
I think
of
that's
director.
a fair assessment.
Oh, so everybody is kind of they've already made up their minds how they're going to take the role.
Well, I mean, I really believe in I really believe in shows being done without a kind of authoritarian director. I mean, my models are people. I mean, people used to make comments about Brecht and Brecht's name being on plays that he wrote, and that they were actually collective efforts, and the theater was referred to as a collective. And I've seen video of rehearsals of a theater that I think is really interesting in Paris called the Théâtre du Soleil, where sometimes the woman who runs it will have another actor do the role, and he'll say, "You get up and do the role and see, because we're having trouble figuring out how to do this, and maybe you can show how." And they don't even cast the show. They just start rehearsing it and see who emerges as the appropriate people to play which roles. And they also regularly use gender-blind casting. Sometimes they cast men as women and women as men.
Is that like a devised production? I've just recently started hearing that term. I guess that came along after I was paying attention to theater. What does that mean? A devised show where John was talking about.
To me, it means just, I don't know. I mean, to me, it means something that you don't have a script for, that that the company develops it.
Gotcha.
And well, there was a theater in the '60s, especially, that a guy named Joe Chaikin was operating called the Open Theater, that did a lot of that kind of thing. They did a thing. Oh, I remember one thing they did was based on the Cain and Abel story in the Bible, and they just took that basic biblical material and put together a play out of it. And they worked a lot with a playwright named Megan Terry and another one named Jean-Claude Banatelli, where they were actually, the cast members would be doing improvisations, and the writer might regularize things. And then Megan Terry finally went to Omaha and started a theater called the Magic Theater.
Magic Theater.
Ron, you Chris, you were saying it's not a theater company. We do have people from your previous production of Private, which was that last year now?
Yeah, I had the idea I started a different company, different LLC, just because I thought that's what I needed to do money-wise. But then I really, after the fact, it doesn't really matter. I just mean it's all small potatoes.
Yeah,
I mean, the grill
right.
is a place that has entertainment. We can pay for things and reimburse ourselves, and give out tiny amounts of money to actors. It doesn't really matter. So I decided that was all just sort of not worth it.
Go ahead.
Well, actually, that kind of brings me to, I'm imagining, okay, so for the folks that are listening to this right now, you've never been to the grill, you've never to see a play. You buy a seat, you buy a ticket, but it's a general admission. There's no real seats, is there?
Yeah, well, we're going to have, I'm pretty sure we're going to use some prefab seating from the high school that Kenny's going to let us use.
Cool.
That'll allow parts of the audience to be raised up so that you won't have heads in front of you in a small room.
Oh, that's great.
So the actors will be on the floor, but the audience will be raised up somewhat.
Yeah.
And
we're using 2 of the booths, if you know the restaurant, and then some of the audience will be raised.
Where are you all? When I saw the play, you did it in front of the big window, and you used the door as your entrance. Are y'all doing the same?
I don't want to say too much about the entrance.
Okay.
Just I don't want to ruin any fun, but where we did Private last year, like where the round table is at the restaurant, basically. And, I was going to point out a minute ago, this play, you could see this play on a giant stage, and
sure.
we're going to be in a 9x9 space with 4 people.
2 of them are kind of big, too.
2 of them are over 6 feet tall.
Which is another reason why everyone should go to. And now, what's the seating? How many seats are you selling per
We're
night?
selling 40. I need to set it up to make sure that we're going to fit them all. But
you'll
40, I
fit
think
40
we'll
in there.
do.
Yeah, you'll fit 40.
Yeah.
And we haven't been talking about him because he's not here, but the other person involved is Kenny Gibson, who is the theater director. What's his position?
Harrisonburg High School.
Harrisonburg High School.
Yeah.
So
He's beloved.
He's a beloved theater.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the same is true, really. Jay wouldn't say it of himself, but Jay has been writing and directing and acting in plays in Harrisonburg for the last however many thousands of years. And
1847 when I started.
and is also, well loved. And John Harrell, anybody who's been involved with the Shakespeare Center at all remembers John.
When I first heard this idea, I thought you guys just knocked it out of the park. I really did. I thought that as far as all the actors are known entities in Harrisonburg, we're not that big of a town, and you got all the best.
Yeah.
I really thought that. I really did. I think this is going to be such a fun production.
Okay, another interesting thing about this too is this could almost be a science here, because you guys are doing this 30 years later with almost an identical cast. There's got to be some dissertation here, some learning that could happen between what you did and what you're doing now.
I don't remember what I had for breakfast. Michael Shouty Show.
Well, I mean, I would just imagine that you're playing things differently. You gotta, or maybe you don't remember. It's like,
Well, I do remember. Fortunately, I did remember. My part is basically one line, 735 words long, with no punctuation, and I did remember memorizing, but I didn't understand what it meant. Not that
is it different now? I mean, 30 years later, you're doing it again, and
it doesn't feel that much different, actually. I mean, we're a little bit more organized and probably a little bit.
I mean, having Tom is a huge difference.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
Tom is a really good acting coach. He's like allergic to bad acting. So he like rubs his head, you look over, he's rubbing his head like, and so that's, it's cool. It's not going to be able to be the way things would be inside Tom's head.
Yeah.
That's not possible, but it does help a lot, to help me. Tom teaches us, is teaching me, I should say, to, just always know what I'm doing, and that sounds funny, but, you learn lines and then you just say lines. I learn lines and I say lines,
Right.
and sometimes I'm not thinking about what I'm saying, or I'm not doing anything. I'm just saying lines, and Tom's very good at helping us see that, at least, and try to do something different. And it does open up a lot of doors. And I mean, it's fun for me and Ken, because we've known each other a long time and love each other, and like we can easily be physical with each other, and and clown together. And he's kind of a clown. I mean, Ken is very, very funny.
Oh yeah.
I'm not
Hilarious.
particularly funny, and I'm not. I don't have the
I would disagree with that.
Well, I'm situationally funny. I can crack a joke, but I mean, Grinder's always funny.
Yeah,
and he's
agreed.
I call him Grinder. His name's Ken. But he has that balance, that funny balance, where he can kind of bounce around.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's super fun to be with him, and it's great to have Tom, and it's great to have Pam. I mean, Pam, watches the play every night, and says to me, just how important it is to her that the costumes have integrity and line up with what we're doing, and so that's going to be good too. Anyway, it's a fun thing. It'll be different than other productions if you watch a production online. That's my hope. I purposefully don't watch other productions, because I just want it to be whatever it is in that space at that place and time. And I think it's. I hope to keep doing it as I get older.
That's awesome. And just also should clarify, if you guys are going to this show, this is not a dinner and a show. This is just the show.
There probably would be room for dinner and a show.
That's right. And I think we could do that in the future.
Yeah.
Right now, we're not open at night, and I just don't really have the infrastructure to, add entertainment onto a dinner. I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
But this time we just decided, man, we got enough to worry about. Let's just do a play.
Yeah.
We'll have beer and snacks and soda and stuff.
Yeah.
Like that.
So if you want to go there, when you go there, you can get a snack, you can have a drink, and it's so it's a 2-act play, correct?
Correct.
So that means there is an intermission.
Yes.
Okay.
But you have to put
And
your
you're
car
not allowed
keys.
to
You have to
leave.
put your car keys in a bag before you go in. So you can. Fadia, tell us. I'm not just blowing smoke here. I think you're doing a really excellent job for somebody who's never been on stage before. What's your take on all this from a new actor's perspective?
And
as of 2 weeks ago or 1 week ago.
And how are you going to change it in 30 years when you do it again?
Yeah. Maybe my kid will play.
We'll all be underwater. Fadia, remember when we did that play over there?
Well, I'm glad. I wouldn't be doing it if my part was more than it is. Like, the lines are fairly easy. And my take on it, I just think it's going to be awesome. I just want to encourage everyone in the cast. Yeah, I think being at the grill at nighttime is kind of my favorite, because it just feels different than the daytime. It feels kind of like exclusive in a way.
Totally.
And
It always did.
yeah.
It always
But I mean, it's always. I mean, we used to. So when we owned the place and we would close it down, and then that's when, after closing,
Yeah.
that's when the party started.
That's when
Yeah.
the
And
go-
I mean, and it was always we always felt like we owned the city.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know we were just in that little square, but we owned the city there. It really did feel that way when I was 25.
Well, here I am.
Yeah.
25, and it feels like that.
And
And-
we really appreciate you coming. You're a real positive energy.
oh, I'm glad to hear that.
Keep-
Yeah, I
keep
love
us
you
going.
guys, and
Oh, that's awesome.
I think it is really cool to be in the space, doing something totally different than what we usually do,
Right.
or what I spend most time doing, like serving breakfast. And yeah, like you were saying, it's really intimate, and I just think it's gonna be. I think people will be very pleased and surprised if they've never seen the play, and also if they've never seen a play at the Grill.
Cool.
That sounds awesome.
I was also going to ask about the connection to Bastille Day.
You're gonna have
Yeah,
to talk
what
to
is that
Ron
about?
Copeland about that. Well, France and Beckett.
Yep.
Well, we fancied ourselves revolutionaries.
Oh.
At that
Nice.
time,
Nice.
and even though we had no idea what that meant, and we didn't even have a position, but
Youth.
we did lots of drugs and thought we were revolutionaries, and it was mostly just stupid and funny to do the play on Bastille Day, because Beckett wrote the play in French, and it's I guess when they chopped the king's head off, so we kind of thought that was interesting, and to do it for free. Back then I was doing a free meal every Monday for anybody in the world, and we were interested in doing things for free. And, I wouldn't do it again probably, but, it is interesting when you do things for free and just give stuff away. And this play was that way. There were no strings attached. It was a free play. And, by the fourth year, I think it was becoming something kind of interesting. Anyway, there's not a real sensible connection. It was mostly just for fun.
Well, just to speak, just touch on that a little bit. This was also like, God, one of the things that a lot of people fell in love with the Grill in that particular time period was we would show up there. Here we were, kids,
I
teenagers.
was about to bring that up.
We were teenagers, and it was the space that was accessible for teenagers. So you didn't have to be 21, which a lot of spaces now you have to be 21. It was a lot of it was, if not free, cheap, and it really felt like you were a part of something bigger than you. And I would say that between you, Jay, Kenny, like y'all were a big part of, like, I mean, I know you're only 10 years older than me, but at the same time, that was a huge deal to have older men just being like, hey, we can have fun. You're included in the party, And it's not just me. I think I'm speaking for a lot of people
a lot of people.
when saying that it was that attitude that really made the Grill why it's so beloved today. I really do. I think that's such a huge piece of it.
We were you probably didn't hear, we were talking about you on the podcast with Bill. Howard was on, and talk about doing things for free. That open mic, you were doing that for free. That was, if you had looked at the minus and loss and positive columns as a businessman, you would have said this is.
Yeah, right.
But that was being done for free, and that fostered a scene that created a lot of music that's still happening today. The
Yeah.
Beauty Chops, Old Crow Medicine Show, Corey Lynn Green, traveling the countryside.
Hackensack Boys.
Hackensack
yeah.
Boys, the Hattie Show. So yeah, that's doing.
Well, and I personally love that, and I want to return to that. I love the spirit of encouraging young artists to be creative. I do want to get the Grill back open at night and foster that scene again, because it's exciting and fun.
Well, I was going to say we had Ellen Atwood here, and
Yep.
it was that was much later in collective years, but we tried, and it's hard to do because you have to make money. You do still have to
Gotta keep the lights on.
You still got to keep the lights on, But at the same time, when there's I think there's something about high school, especially high school kids. When they come out, they have a different energy. They have a different freedom about them. They're not weighted down by anything,
Including money.
Yeah, I know.
They're not worried
know.
about the lights.
They're not worried about the lights. But there's something awesome, and that's why when people say, "Oh, we're gonna do an open mic," I'm like, Good luck. Good luck. It's a great idea if it works. If you got all the pieces have to be right though, and so many of those pieces are you're just hoping that the right people come.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean? The right people have to come.
I was thinking about that the other day. I think it's something that you're good at too. I think that I was good at, which is managing the order of things.
Oh yeah,
you
like, have to.
Kind of ignoring someone because you want to get someone better on right then, or forcing someone to go early to get them out of the way.
Yeah. No, it's a.
Well, you and I together developed the 2-song limit.
Three.
Oh, it should have been 2.
Yeah.
Maybe just 2 for Jay. I can't remember.
That's so funny.
Are you sure? Are you sure you need to sing that second song,
It
Jay?
wasn't a 2-song.
No, but it was a magical time for sure.
Hey, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go.
Well, I have a couple. I had put a post on Facebook about the San Quentin performance that Jay referenced, and I have a couple of quotes from the San Francisco Chronicle and from the prison newspaper. I just thought would be fun.
Hey, get right up on that mic there. Right?
Oh, sorry about that.
Thanks, man.
And just to reiterate, this was performed way back when, I guess in the mid '50s, to 1,400 prisoners at San Quentin who hadn't had a performance in a long time, and they were kind of hoping for something that would involve some kind of wild entertainment. Instead, they got Waiting for Godot. The actors talked about being terrified when they realized what they were actually about to do. And then, of course, famously, unlike Paris and London and New York, the audience was riveted to the play the whole time. And so from the San Francisco Chronicle, one prisoner told him, "Godot is society," said another. "He's the outside." A teacher at the prison was quoted as saying, "They know what is meant by waiting, and they know if Godot finally came, he would only be a disappointment." And then this is from the newspaper itself. It says, "The author expected each member of his audience to draw his own conclusions, make his own errors. It asked nothing in point. It forced no dramatized moral on the viewer. It held out no specific hope. We're still waiting for Godot and shall continue to wait. When the scenery gets too drab and the action too slow, we will call each other names and swear to part forever. But then there's no place to go." Anyway.
Oh, that was awesome.
Nice.
I think that sounds like a good place to leave it.
Yeah.
Good place to leave it.
Yeah.
Well, thanks. Thanks for joining us.
Tom,
this evening.
Tom,
That's
thanks
awesome.
so much for all everything you've done for the theater community in Harrisonburg and James Madison University for the last 12 years. I'm not going to blame it. No, you started out
I
in
came here in '74.
74, Theater
So it's been
2.
close to 50. It's been 51 years.
I can tell you that's 52 years ago.
Multiple generations of JMU students. Ron, Copeland, Little Grill, get down there and get some food.
Yeah.
Better than ever.
It really
People
is.
Yeah, it is.
People coming from all over to eat at the Little Grill. Fadia Vergara. I messed it up, didn't I?
No, you said it right.
My wife's assistant.
Yes.
Yes.
Love
Chris's
Yeah.
wife's assistant at the
At Woodland Montessori.
Woodland Montessori School.
Yeah.
And also the stage manager and new actor for our production of Waiting for Godot. Brittany didn't make it, but I'm sure she's going to.
We missed you, Mom
We
Shackles.
missed you, Mums. Once again, we're brought to you by the Ruby's Arcade in scenic downtown Harrisonburg. Come down here every Tuesday night, 7:30 for Bingo's Life live.
Balmy.
and loud.
Balmy
Live-
down here.
Balmy downtown Harrisonburg. Live, loud, and in person, 7:30. And then at 8:30 or anytime you want to, you can listen to us. Bingo's Life, the podcast on the internets. We'll see you next week, kids.
Thanks, everybody. Good night.
Good night.
Bingo is Life, a post-bingo Harrisonburg podcast, is brought to you by the Brothers How to Show and our friends at Ruby's Arcade in downtown Harrisonburg, Virginia. If you've enjoyed the show and feel it's worth spreading a little joy in this world, please tell just one person that you like this podcast. Word of mouth, more than any other form of promotion, is how creative works get noticed and sustain themselves. Thank you, Andrew Hickey, for that bit of wisdom, and thank you, listeners, for being part of the fun.